Today we are discussing chapter number 5, Novel Vendor of Sweets. So in the last chapter, we discussed that Mali is trying to move to America, and the father and the son had a very bad relationship. They did not discuss anything freely. They did not have a proper conversation. So the mediator, cousin, is the person who was the mediator. They are like who helped them to have the conversation and to gather the information and stuff. So in this chapter, you will understand that Mali, he leaves to America. So he had never thought that he could feel so superior about it. So Jagan never thought that one day, due to his son flying to America, he could be proud about that. Now it seemed to him worth all the money and the pangs of separation. So he understands that, okay, right, if my son moved to America and he's proud about that, at the same time with the proud, he's like around having some pain also, a sudden sharp pain that's called as the pangs, right? So he says, for everyone in the village, my son is in America, he said to a dozen persons every day. So for every people who he meets in his daily routine, he tells everyone, okay, my son is in America. Puffing with pride on each occasion, it delayed his daily routine. So because of this incident that he's telling everyone, he's saying everyone that, okay, my son has gone to America. Because of that, what happened? His daily routine also delayed. He got late to go to the shop. He got late to do his other stuff, prayers or reading the Bhagavad Gita. All those activities were delayed because he started talking proud about his son. He's proud that he has gone to America, right? On his way to the shop, he had only to detect the slightest acquaintance on the road, right? Now, when he's going on the way to his shop, he had the slightest acquaintance on the road. That means the certain knowledge. He had a certain knowledge of people, and he had a certain knowledge of other things as well. So that experience he met in the road, that people who he knows, he talked to them and he discussed about certain matters, and he would be block his path, and instead of discussing whether or politics as was his custom, would lead the talk on gently to the topic of America and of his son's presence. Right now, usually when Jagan meets a person in the street or anywhere, he used to talk about this politics or weather only. But now his habit turned into talking to the topic of America, right? So what happened, he started that keeping it as habit, and he talked about daily about his son's journey to America. After days and days of hopeless waiting, when a colorful air letter had arrived by post, he had almost felt the same joy as if Mali had come back. Now, all these days passed. Now, he was talking proud about his son all these days. What is the reason? Because Mali has left to America. So he's really proud to say everyone that his son has gone to America. So this chapter is basically important because it tells us about Mali and America mainly. So when Jagan was wandering all these days, he saw a colorful air letter arrived by the post. He had almost felt the same joy as if Mali had come back. So he felt very happy, that he felt that happiness just like his son has come back to India, to his village to meet him. That's the same happiness he felt, right? He hardly had the patience to read the printed instruction to open, cut here, but thrust his finger in desperately and gashed the air letter until it split longitudinally, forcing him to piece it together like a jigsaw puzzle for deciphering. Now, what happened when this letter come? He could not stay patiently until he opened this. So there is a place mentioned. You have to cut here. There's a place mentioned. Cut here. Then only you can open the letter. But he did not mind about that. He quickly thrust his fingers. When he's opening this so suddenly, what happened? He cut his finger. Thrust means by a huge force. If you start opening something, if you start pushing something suddenly. So when he did that in that way, his finger also got cut. What is the reason? He's so much eager to read the letter, right? Desperately means so urgently he is bravely waiting to read the letter, right? So that much he is happy to hear some news from his son Mali, and gashed the air letter until it split longitudinally. Gashed means you just put it down like for it to open automatically, right? So forcing him to piece it together like a jigsaw puzzle for deciphering. So what is this like jigsaw puzzle deciphering means, like he did it like a small child, like he did it, put it down, he gashed it down until it gets opened, until it's get opened. So deciphering means until he find what is the solution in that letter, uh, what is the things matter said in that letter. So he wants to make out the meaning in that letter, right? The message simply said, right now he opened the letter: arrived. New York is big. The buildings are very tall, not like ours. Thousands of motor cars in the street. Food is difficult. I am in a hostel. Next week, I go to school. Jagan read with pleasure, although he was somewhat disturbed at the boy's mention of school rather than college. So Jagan wants his son to mention college. Then only he feels proud that his son is a big person. So he felt a little bit upset only for that word. Other than that, he collected all the data what Mali had written. It had arrived by the first post, and he sat on the hall bench and pored over it for nearly an hour. So he was wandering in that with that letter for an hour. That much he is happy about that. Scanning every word and visualizing Mali in that enormous background. Now he is imagining how Mali might live there, what could he do, and everything he's imagining. He could not keep the good news to himself. Now, this poor person, this poor father, he could not keep this good news within himself. He wanted to go and say someone. The first entrance open to him was the truth printing works. So he quickly remembered when he passed the truth printing works and he met Nataraj. Nataraj was at his desk, ever affable and welcoming visitors. So affable means you're so polite and friendly. Nataraj is also like that. He's very polite and friendly and he's welcoming the visitors. The door was only half open, and when the light was blocked, Nataraj looked up from his proofs and smiled. And immediately, Jagan, the announcement, Mali has reached. Now, when he saw Nataraj, when Nataraj saw Jagan is coming, he smiled and he understood that he has come to say something. So Jagan quickly said, Mali has reached. Like he's so happy. He's so excited that his son has gone to a different country safely. So Nataraj asked, have you received a telegram? Oh no, he is prudent. Jagan says, no, he is prudent. He is prudent means what? No, he is he is not careless. He is showing the care. He cares for money and he saves it. Won't waste 10 rupees when 10 cents. Any idea how much a cent is worth in our money? So he says, like, why should my son waste 10 rupees when he can send me letters with 10 cents? And then he asked Natraj, do you have any idea how much is 10 cent in our money, in Indian money? Natraj made a rapid calculation. A dollar was equivalent to 5 rupees, 7 rupees on the black market, as one of his customers had told him. 4 rupees odd, according to the government, 100 cents to a dollar. He gave up the attempt at multiplication and division and thought it best to change the subject. So when he was trying to calculate, he couldn't and he stopped it and he changed the subject. You will be getting your proof very soon, like that he said, and he escaped from that discussion. Right? Oh, yes, I know. Once you take it up, you will get on with it. Okay, I know. Yeah. If you do it, if you take some responsibilities, I know you are doing it well. He's giving a hint because Jagan's book is also still there, still not printed. As you know, and a service and not written for profit. After this statement, he switched over to America. Now, when he heard all these matters, he forgot for what he came also. So he quickly switched on to his topic, America. It's a place of enormous buildings and lots of motor cars. I hope the boy will have a room on the ground floor and not too high up. Now, why does Jagan say like this? I hope the boy will have a room on the ground floor. So this shows the caring sense of the father. Jagan thinks about Mali's security. He's worried about his safety. That's why he says it's better if we get a room in the ground floor. Our boys are very clever, said Nataraj. and can take care of themselves anywhere in the world. So Nataraj was like assuring, no, no, our Indian boys are so clever. They know how to take care of themselves. Accordingly, accepting this agreeable statement, Jagan withdrew from the doorway and proceeded toward his shop. Now he said the news to Natraj, and now he is moving to another place to go and tell this information. On the way, he caught a glimpse of the adjournment lawyer at the turning of the Kabir lane. He clapped his hands and stopped him. He could take that liberty with him as they had been classmates at the Albert Mission more than a generation ago. Now, when he was going on the way, he met this lawyer. So, usually a lawyer means a higher person in the society. So, he clapped him and called. So, the R.K. Narayan is telling, like, readers, you all don't mind it. It doesn't mean that Jagan is indisciplined or something. He did that with the rights because he's his friend. So he is not scared for that, right? He has that right to call him. So he clapped his hand and he stopped him. So why does he stop the lawyer? He wants to say the information that his son has gone to America, right? He's boasting, around everyone. It's not the bad boasting part. It's like he's proud to say his son has gone to America. The lawyer, a one-toothed man with a sprinkling of silver dust on his unshaven cheeks, smiled, exposing his bare gums. Now you should understand why R.K. Narayan is mentioning their features for you to create the picture. So your imagination is very important here, right? So as literature students, you should be able to imagine each and every scene, and you should just think it of as like a movie. Now when I'm reading this, your picture should come, and you have to experience that how Jagan is clapping with a with the letter in his hand. He's clapping at a lawyer. Lawyer is turning and stopping there. How the lawyer looks like. All those things should come to your mind. I have got to go home. Some parties are waiting for me. Lawyer is saying. Lawyer is a busy person, right? So lawyer says, no, no, I have to go home. My parties means some case studies parties are waiting there. I won't take more than a minute, said Jagan. Jagan said, no, no, just stay. Give me one minute. I felt you would like to hear what is written. So Jagan says, I just stopped you to say one thing because I know that you will be happy to hear this. Mali has written to me. Then the lawyer asked, okay, have you received a telegram? What was the matter with everybody? Jagan felt annoyance at the tendency of people to get obsessed with telegrams. So Jagan felt very annoyed. Why everyone asking whether he sent an telegram? Telegram? Why are you asking so on? So then Jagan continues, right? After all, why spend 10 rupees when 10 cents bring over a letter in 4 days? So Jagan did not understand the reality behind this. It's not possible to come for a letter to receive to India from America from 4 days, and for 10 cents, no way. So the lawyer understood it. He said, 4 days? Said the lawyer. No, no, you must be mistaken. It takes longer than that. It takes at least 15 days. That was the limit. That was the limit. How presumptuous of this man to talk of America while he was there to provide first hand information. People's notions were fixed. Stupid fellows, frogs in the well. So he blamed that way, right? Ahead of him, he saw the chemist at his door. Looking down at the street, he greeted Jagan warmly. Rather late today, he said with a lot of friendliness. Now, when he was going ahead, he saw the chemist at the door as well. So when he saw the chemist, he said this information to him also. So the chemist was like saying, I think you are late today, right? Okay, just the friendly look, right? Yes, I know, Jagan said. Approaching him eagerly, the postman was rather late today. Well, one has a son living so far away. Wow, he's saying, okay, he's continuing to say that, okay, one has a son living far away. And then the chemist understood, has he reached America safely? Yes, I was somewhat anxious for 2 or 3 days. Other boys would have wasted money on a telegram, but a letter at a tenth the cost takes only a couple of days more. So he said, at a letter of a tenth the cost of takes only a couple of days more. He said, my boy is very intelligent. He doesn't waste money. He just send me a letter with a few amount, spending few amount, right? He is prudent. What is prudent means? Not careless. He's showing care, right? He's prudent. You know, What's the postage? The chemist asked. I want to send for a free catalog from Sears Review Book. You know, it is an interesting book. It will give us wonderful ideas on all sort of things. Jagan almost groaned when the other said, what's the equivalent of 50 cents, which is the postage for the catalog? So they had another discussion. Two people, that chemist and another person, started discussing something else about this, how much spending to send a letter. So then Jagan passed on. He passed on. None so good as a cousin who deserved all the sweets he ate for his listening capacity. So Jagan was like, nobody's better, nobody's listening to me, right? When I go and said Natraj, he was like saying about Telegram. When I go and said my friend lawyer, he was saying, "Are you mad? You are not getting letters within 4 days and stuff, and for this much of amount, frogs in the well." He blamed. When he said the chemist, he started discussing something about his personal letters, and he said none so good as the cousin. Nobody is good as my cousin, who deserved all the sweets he ate for his listening capacity. All the others in the town were obsessed with own notions. They all are thinking about their things only, were ignorant and resisted enlightenment on the subject of America. They don't understand what is America. They don't know what is the worth of that country. And he was like, talking, thinking alone in himself. When he was sitting in his seat, the head cook came to ask for the day's program. Jagan read the formula and then added a postscript as a favor to the cook. Now he said, okay, right, you have to do these things, these things, these things. That he said the program. Okay, then he added means he said further, Mali has safely reached the other end, and that's a big relief to me. So he says this to everyone, even to the head cook. It's nothing a matter here, right? But he said, it's a huge country with a lot of motor cars. Everyone has a car there. The cook listened respectfully and turned away without comment. So cook can't tell anything, right? It's not his job, right? He just came there to inquire what to cook today, what is the daily routine, and all those things only. So he couldn't comment anything. He left the place. Jagan felt relieved that the fellow had not stopped to ask about telegrams or the equivalent of a cent. So he felt like very happy. My God, thank this guy even did not ask me about telegram or any cents and everything. He had to hold his soul in peace until 4:30 when the cousin arrived. Now Jagan can't stay until the cousin comes because he wants to, tell all these things, what he read and what happened, everything. Passed straight into Saver and came out of the kitchen. Jagan said with a quiet firmness, the boy has reached the other end safely. Now, when the cousin comes, you know what's his daily habit. He quickly goes to the kitchen, tastes the sweets, and then only he comes to meet Jagan. So today also, same thing happened. So when he returned back, Jagan said, boy has reached the other end safely. He flourished a fragment of the air letter as a special favor, affording the cousin a glimpse of the letter while he had only mentioned it to the others. So he should quickly shot the letter for the cousin. He did not want him to read actually. Okay, Jagan did not want the cousin to read it completely, so he just showed the glimpse only. Excellent news. I knew he would be all right, he said, smacking his lips. So cousin was while eating, he said, wow, great, that's great. I know he will be going safe and everything. Then he didn't send a telegram? Yes, yes. Why should he? Letters arrive so quickly nowadays. You must offer a couple of coconuts to Ganesha at the corner temple. Then Jagan says for the cousin, before the cousin inquire whether Mali sent a telegram or not, before he inquire, Jagan says the cousin, he didn't send a telegram. Then cousin says, yes, yes, why should he send a telegram? Nowadays letters are arriving so quickly, right? You go to the Kovil and offer some coconuts to Ganesha. Like that he says. Surely it goes without saying, said Jagan, as if there were a specific contrast between himself and the cousin. He himself be done this very evening, so he's very happy to do that. He's very proud because his son has gone there, and he doesn't want to delay that matter of thanking the god for sending him safely for a country like that. I'll buy the coconuts on my way, said the cousin, and immediately Jagan snatched up a coin from his drawer and handed it to the other. He quickly stood up. He did not think about money matter. You know how Jagan is, right? He's a money-minded businessman, but he quickly opened the locker and he gave the money to the cousin to go and buy a coconut as well. I feel a great burden off my head today. Now Jagan says, "My God, now only I'm relieved. I'm very happy that now only I'm feeling so much relief that something has, a burden has gone off from my head like that." Because he worries about Mali that much. When someone goes on such a long pilgrimage, especially if he is flying, it's always a worry. Although one doesn't talk about it, he says, "You don't know, like if someone go far away like this, it's really a big headache for us. Like we should wonder and wait whether he has gone safely or this and that. So today now only I'm relieved." I know, said the cousin. "What does he say about himself?" So cousin is inquiring. Right, now tell me what Mali says about himself. "He likes the new experience, of course. Lots of tall buildings and cars everywhere. I hope he will walk carefully in the streets." Now Jagan is mentioning is describing the cuisine what Mali has written in the letter. He says the food is good. I am relieved. It's a country of millionaires. Everyone is so rich there. Now, what can you understand about these lines? These lines are proving how much Jagan cares for his son. He thinks about Mali's safety always. And he's proud about his son's place where he has reached. That's why he's saying everyone in that country are millionaires. So he's uh, mentioning Mali also for that category. So in this chapter, you are learning most of the lines are like uttered by Jagan, and all the lines are proving how much he loves his son, how much he cares for Mali. Right. So this whole chapter, as I mentioned you before, is discussing about how Mali leaves for America and how Jagan becomes proud about that. Right. So that's why he says that in the first part that he's mentioning for dozen of people. Right. So Mali remains in America, and frequently only he writes to Jagan. That's what we call as the blue air letters. So Jagan, he used to read those letters continuously. He used to go and tell people that Mali has sent the letters and all, right? And he's going and telling proudly that he won't waste 10 rupees. And he's describing America and the buildings there for people who are here because they have never gone to America in their like lifetime, right? So he's telling cousin also all these news what he receives from Mali. But remember, he never lets anyone to read the letter. Mali proved unusually communicative from across the seas, and although at times he sounded brusque, disconnected, or impersonal. Now, Mali's character, you know how he is. He usually doesn't talk much with much with Jagan as well, right? So, brusque means what? Cut and we say offhand people, right? So he's disconnected with Jagan, but he wrote something. He generalized a good deal about the civilization in which he found himself. The blue air mail letters grew into a file. Now the blue air letters are now into a file. That much of letters are sent now. Can you believe it? How can Mali remember Jagan to write this much? To write to Jagan this much of things? Now these small letters started to become into a file also, right? If only Mali had taken the precaution of leaving a proper margin to his epistles means letters, Jagan would have bound them into a neat little volume at the truth printing. So Jagan was now thinking, if we had sent this properly, every letter in the correct margin, if we had written and go, I would surely print a book and keep. That much he is happy as a father, because he is really happy that usually Mali is not having any communication with Jagan. So if he would have given to Nataraj and have a printout also. Surely Nataraj would have realized its importance and obliged him with speedy execution. So Jagan says, suppose if Nataraj got to know such a thing, he will surely do it very fast, not like his book in the book that was given to Nataraj long back ago. This would have been done very fast, he says. Jagan stuffed his jibba pocket with the letters. Now all his jibba pockets are full of letters, and pulled them out for choice reading of passages to all and sundry, mostly to his cousin, who as ever remained an uncomplaining listener. So he used to keep the letters in the pocket, and whenever he feels, he start reading. Poor father. So you have to understand his feelings, right? How much he's worried. Like only one son who was given birth after a long time of their marriage. Now he has left far away. He has sent letters and he's reading daily. He's daily reading that to his cousin. Cousin is an uncomplaining listener. He's really lovable. He doesn't complain anything about that, right? Gradually, his reading of the Bhagavad Gita was replaced by the blue air mail letters. Now, usually, you know that Jagan is a person who always reads the Bhagavad Gita. But now, what happened? He has changed to read the blue air mail letters. So, see what kind of a big change has occurred for this Jagan because of the love for his son. From their study, he formed a picture of America and was able to speak with authority on the subject of American landscape, culture, and civilization. So Jagan was able to speak about America, their culture, their tradition, with the knowledge of the letter what he received from Mali. He hardly noticed to whom he spoke. Anyone on the road seemed good enough. So Jagan did not mind whoever in the road, he will go and talk with this Mali's matters. His acquaintances feared that he was afflicted with the talking disease. Acquaintances means, as I told you, the knowledge or experience, right? So he feared that will he get a talking disease? That much he talks about Mali. All day he will go around the town, go to the people, whoever the person he meet, he started talking about these Mali's things only, right? From the minute he stepped out of his house, he scanned the landscape for a familiar face, pounded hawkical on the unwary. And now when he's going out of the house, whenever he goes out of the house, he's trying to, you know, try to tell someone, try to get touched with someone and talk something. Whipped him and held him in thrall. He even stopped the vagrant on the culvert one day in order to describe the Grand Canyon. Now, did you understand how serious he is? He doesn't matter who he talks to. He somehow want to tell the thing that Mali has sent letter. These are the things what he has written. Even the vagrant, even the beggar, he stops and he talks. Right? And actually, there is nothing like it anywhere in the world, he concluded, and gave him 5 paisa for listening. So he gives money for the vagrant for listening to him also. It was a matter of luck for another whether he could slip away in time or got entangled in America. Jagan found everyone restless when he spoke, but he rushed through his narration breathlessly. Now, did you understand that point? When he is telling these things to everyone in the town or village, he understood that people are also tired listening to him. But what he does, he talks breathlessly without stopping. He is talking proudly, describing about his son's activities. He had the feeling of having to bottle up his ideas until the blessed hour that brought his cousin in, who displayed such an enthusiasm for American information that Jagan could hardly tell him enough. But remember, this cousin's character is important. He is not like the others. He was not tired for listening for Jagan. He was eagerly waiting for the informations that were given by Jagan to him. He was eagerly waiting to listen to them, and he for him it was like not enough also, because Jagan doesn't say everything. He doesn't even let the people touch the letter. So he says whatever he read, right? And his imaginations, everything. So Kazin is not like, he's really good. He's really understanding Jagan, right? The cousin often wanted to see the letters himself, but Jagan resisted the idea. He held them in sacred trust and would not allow a third person to touch them. Cousin really wanted to read the letters himself, but never. Jagan never let that. Day after day, the cousin collected information on American life and manners and passed them on to his own circle of listeners. Very soon, most people in Malgudi knew that 50,000 human lives were lost in road accidents every year in America, and how people broke down on hearing of the death of Kennedy at street corners and crowded round anyone with a transistor radio. So Kazin got to know some new thing informations about America also. What is that? people usually die there in due to accidents and all. Now, this is a shocking news. Jagan felt quite competent to describe, as if he had watched it himself, the route of Kennedy's motor car on the fateful day, and he felt shocked when he recounted how, on that very morning in Dallas, Kennedy had mingled in enormous crowds which grabbed and torn at his clothes and hair in sheer affection. Nor did he spare his listener any detail of Oswald's deaths later. This is something else. There he's discussing about American situation, how the country situation moves on, right? So he says that accidents occur. This is how people go on to the street and all, like likewise, right? So this main thing you have to focus in this chapter is about Mali and America, right? And the other thing is how Kazin is collecting informations about America and telling it to Jagan as well, because Jagan knows only what is mentioned in the letter about America. It's not everything that he knows. So Jagan receives the letters daily, like not daily means very oftenly he receives, and he's having a very good collection of the letters also, right? So we'll go to the topic again. The only letter Jagan rigorously suppressed was the one in which Mali had written after 3 years' experience of America. I have taken to eating beef, and I don't think I am any the worse for it. Now, this is said by whom? Mali. He's telling, I have taken to eating beef, and I don't think I am any the worse for it. Steak is something quite tasty and juicy. Right. Now, do you know what is this steak? Now, all these things are said by whom? According to Jagan, it's Mali. He's sending this information to Mali, and he's saying he has started to eat beef, and not only that, he's still commenting on that. He's commenting, no, I don't think it's worse, right? It doesn't seems like worse. And he says that steak is tasty and juicy. You know who is Jagan? He's a vegetarian. He doesn't eat like that. Steak means it's an American food, right? This is called as steak, and this is kind of a fish, and he's used to this as well. Now I want to suggest, why don't you people start eating beef? Now he's suggesting to Jagan, why don't you all start to eat beef? It will solve the problems of useless cattle in our country, and we won't have to beg for food from America. I sometimes feel ashamed when India asks for American aid. Instead of that, why not slaughter the useless cows with wonder in streets and block the traffic? Now, Mali has, break the rituals and beliefs, not only the beliefs of Jagan, it's of almost his religion. He has passed his limit. Eating beef is not good in Hinduism. And also, what we call cutting the cattle. How can one do like that? Cattle are kind of a god for them, according to the Hindu rituals. They really respect it. But here, Mali's words are not respecting those. Jagan felt outraged. The Shastra defined the 5 deadly sins, and the killing of the cow headed the list. So the 5 deadly sins, among the 5 deadly sins, killing a cow is only the standing first, right? Killing a cow standing first. While he was cogitating on how to make his feelings felt on the subject and collecting quotations from the Shatras and Gandhi's writings on the cow to be incorporated in his letter to Mali, there came a cable one morning. Right. Now, when Mali Jagan thought, no, this is not good. I should write him back and tell him some advices not to talk like this, don't consume these things, and he thought to advise. So when he was thinking like that, one morning, a letter has arrived. Arriving home, another person with me. Cable one morning. It's like a call. It's not a letter, it's like a call. Arriving home, another person with me. That's he said. Jagan was puzzled. What sort of a person? He had terrible misgivings and added trouble of not being able to talk about it to the cousin, as he might spread the news of another person all over the town. So now when Mali said that information, Jagan was puzzled and he asked, who is that person? And he can't keep in his mind also, he wanted to say this to cousin, but he can't say this to cousins because he's scared whether the cousin will go and spread all over the town about this particular another person. His worst misgivings were confirmed on an afternoon when the train dumped Mali, another person, and an enormous quantity of baggage into the railway platform and puffed away. Now, who's arrived now? Mali is arrived, right? So, Mali is arriving home with another person, right? So, this another person is only making Jagan puzzle. So, Jagan feels some kind of uneasiness about this matter, right? So let's see how Jagan's behavior goes on when he sees them. The very sight of the streamlined trunks, suitcases, corded cartons filled Jagan with uneasiness and a feeling of inferiority. Now, he's feeling a little bit, uncomfortable to go front. The old porter at the railway station could hardly handle this quantity of baggage, although normally he would seize and carry scores of boxes and baskets without a thought. Now, usually the baggage carrying man, he can carry usually bigger bags even very, very quickly he does it. Without a thought means very quickly. But for carrying these baggages of Mali, he had to take a bigger stress, right? Mali kept muttering. Right. Okay. Now he had to call in the boy at the cigarette shop for assistance. Now what happened? That baggage carrying person, he had to take the assistance of another boy also. Mali kept muttering without moving his head or lips much. Be careful. Awful lot of things that might break. Have spent a fortune in air freight. He's saying, be careful when you're carrying these things. Don't break them and all like that. Jagan slipped into the background, pushing his cousin to the fore to do all the talking and receiving. He can't, he doesn't have that strength. He feels inferior. So Jagan, what did he do? He pushed the cousin in front to go and talk and receive him. Right? But in her mind, he's very happy to see his son. He was overwhelmed by the spectacle of his son, who seemed to have grown taller, broader, and fairer, and carried himself in long strides. He wore a dark suit with an overcoat, an airbag, a camera, an umbrella, and whatnot on his person. So whatnot means some kind of gadgets, right? So he had a very strange look, not that Indian Mali who went from here. So as a father, he feels so strained and he feels so inferior because his son is grown and his dressing sense is totally different. That's why he can't go front and talk to him normally. That's why he sent cousin, right? Jagan felt that he was following a stranger. When Mali approached him, extending his hand, he tried to shrink away and shield himself behind the cousin. When Mali came near him, he quickly hid behind the cousin. When he had to speak to his son with great difficulty, he restrained himself from calling him sir and employing the horrific plural. So when he's talking to Mali, he's frightened to tell as his son. He feels to say sir because he looks that perfect, but he can't tell sir. It's not a sir, he's its own son. So he stopped him saying sir. Matters became worse when Mali indicated the girl at his side and said, "This is Grace. We are married." Grace, my dad. Complete confusion. Married? When were you married? You didn't tell me? Don't you have to tell your father? Who is she? Anyway, she looks like a Chinese. Don't you know that one can't marry a Chinese nowadays? They have invaded our borders. Or perhaps she is a Japanese. How was one to find out? Any indiscreet question might upset the gentleman with the camera. He had this much of questions running in his mind. Who? Jagan. Mali easily introduced, this is only Grace. We are married. Right? He addressed him. But Jagan, he feels so confused. Jagan threw a panicky look at the cousin. and fled on the pretext of supervising the loading of the baggage into Gafur's taxi outside. A small gaping crowd followed them to the car, murmuring, "He is come from America." Now he can hear some people, some crowd is talking, that man has come from America. Took notice of Gafur by saying, "Jalopy is going strong." Now Gafur is a driver, he's a taxi driver. He has put the baggage and now that he's taking Mali, Kazin, and the Grace. Right? Now just imagine they're traveling. And while traveling, Jagan has, Mali has told Gafur, "Jalopy going strong." Gafur did not understand the word. That word jalopi, he didn't understand. For everyone, it sounded like jilebi prepared in Jagan's shop. So see how funny for the Indians, those people, that shows their knowledge, right? For them, that word was heard by like jilebi which was made in Jagan's shop. But what did he mean? Mali actually told something called jalopi, right? So what is this jalopi? It's actually a vehicle. Okay, Mali introduced that vehicle in terms of the name, I mean, that particular name given to that. So he said, "Wow, your jalopy is going very strong. This is called as the jalopy," right? Jagan and the cousin sat with Gafur in the front seat, leaving the back seat for Grace and Mali. Gafur said without turning his head, "Why didn't you bring a car for me?" Now Gafur can't answer for that question because he doesn't know what is the meaning of jalopy, and he said, "Why didn't you bring a car for me?" Jagan feared that Gafur's familiarity might upset Mali. Now, see how much he scared for his son. He thought, don't know, Mali will get angry for this question. Everything he had finished deciding without talking to the son. But the young man, fresh from the democratic surroundings, said, "I wish you had told me, oh, you could have told me, for a fun like." He's also joking. "You could have told me, I sold my Pontiac before coming." Right, I sold my Pontiac before I come here. You could have told me that. This is Pontiac. It is another car brand. So this car is Mali's car, and he has sold it recently. This is called as the Pontiac car. Gafur, driving the car, entered into a description of the state of the nation with reference to automobiles. He said, like he was starting to give a description about their nation. How you had to wait for 5 years to get a Fiat, 3 for an ambassador, and so forth. How no importance was allowed, and how a brand new Plymouth was seized and destroyed at the customs. All of us which upset the young man freshly come home. So they are mentioning about they're talking about some cars. And he's telling like, we had to wait for 5 years to get a Fiat. That is another car. For Indians, they had to wait for 5 years to get this kind of a car, right? And so forth, how no importation was allowed and how a brand new Plymouth was seized and destroyed in the customs. He's mentioning that in the customs, customs, right? The custom duty people, they have seized another car which is of another brand, right? So they are discussing private talks, some kind of, right? So this is the Plymouth brand cars, what Gafur is mentioning about. Mali occasionally peeped out to say, now Mali is opening the window and he's peeping out and saying, "Nothing has changed." Grace gazed with fascination at the streets and bazaars and cooled. "Oh, charming, charming, charming." For her, it's a new experience. For Grace, it is a new experience. That's why she's telling, "Wow, this is charming." So Mali says, "Honey, live in it and see what it is like," said Mali. So when she was telling charming, charming, he said, "You first of all live and see how you will feel then." On hearing which, Jagan wondered whether he should address her as Honey or Grace. So when Mali addressed Grace as Honey, Jagan, who heard this, he was having a confusion. Should I call Grace as Honey or Grace? That's another confusion for him. Time enough to settle that question. When they approached the statue, she asked, "Who is that?" No one answered her. Jagan became tense at the approach of the house beyond the statue. Right. Now that there was a statue in front of the house. No. So that lowly statue. So when Grace was like, who is that person? But nobody answered that question. Then Jagan was shocked. Now, okay, behind that statue, their house is there. Now he's having 100,000 problems. What is the problem? If they get down from the car, people around the village will see them. They all will start questioning who is this girl, right? How did she come? How? Why is she a foreign girl? Everything a problem. So his dignity will harm, right? Uh, Jagan became tense at the approach of the house beyond the statue. When they stopped, he jumped out of the car and panted up the steps uh, in order to open the main door. He quickly ran and jumped and he went to open the main door because he wants everyone to come inside fast before anyone see. He had spent the fortnight in the rigging up his house to suit his son's requirements. So he has been maintaining the house, like we say, repairing the house because he wants to give a comfort to Malik. Under the guidance of the doctor's wife, known to Kazin, he had spent a fortune in building a modern toilet and a bathroom adjoining Mali's bedroom and had scribed and color washed the wall and put up the new tables and chairs. Wow, what a great father. Before Mali come, he wants to give a comfort. So what he has done, he has arranged all the paintings, bathrooms and everything because he wants to give the comfort to Mali. Mali went straight to his room to wash and change. Gafur and the cousin left after piling the boxes in the passage. Grace was left alone. Right. When they come home, Gafur kept the bags and all. Mali straight away went to the room. Grace was left alone. Standing uncertainly in the hall, like what to do, like it's like puzzle. She's puzzled now. What time? Like, what do you think when you go for a new place and just left alone? That kind of a feeling. Sitting that chair, Jagan said, unable to find anything else to say. He could not say anything else. He didn't have anything else to say. Sit in that chair, he said. He added, tell me what you want. I will get it. So he said, don't worry, like if you want something, just ask. I do not know exactly what you will like to have. So he's having a conversation with the new girl, with the Grace. So with his new daughter-in-law, right? So he's trying to have a conversation. He's trying to make her feel comfortable. Okay, so let's make this part up to this point as the session 1 for this chapter, right? So this chapter now we discussed many how Jagan was happy for receiving letters from America from his son Mali, how Mali came to India, and how with whom he came, what kind of changes he had take place like on all, and what kind of strange feeling as a father Jagan feels. All these things are very important. So this chapter is going to be a very interesting one at the end because they are Narkenarayan is introducing a new character, Grace. So we have to look how is she, what kind of a character she is. Is she also westernized or she's culture? We have to check that. And also we can see like it will be very interesting for you to see how Jagan meddles with these business matters and how he have conversation with his new daughter-in-law, how he talks with Mali, like their conversation is little bit improved, how Kazin mediates their problem. All these things are proved in this story. So let's make it to our session 2 in chapter number 5, and today we can end the session up to this point.